Probably one of the most boring tasks on the internet is to fill in forms. Nowadays, everyone wants to get some data from you. So to create a new account, participate in a giveaway, or get a free ebook, you need to fill in your information in a form. This isn't a big deal if you do this once, but things get tedious when you have to repeat the same steps over and over again. So the best solution here is to automate it with Python. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to automatically fill in fake data using Python. So let's get started. Alright, in this video, I'm not going to delve into the basics. Actually, here I have a code that we usually use to start working with Selenium. But in case you don't know so much about Selenium, I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can start with the basics. Alright, to start working with Selenium, first we have to install it. So you open up a terminal and then you write pip install Selenium in case you don't have it installed already. Well, after you install this library, we need to start working with it. And well, I have the code to start working with Selenium, and here first we need to introduce a path. And this path refers to the Chrome driver, which we have to download. And to download, we go to this website and we choose the version that corresponds to our version of Google Chrome. And well, once you have that path, you paste the path of this Chrome driver. And in this case, I'm going to copy and paste it. So this is my path. You have to introduce the path where your Chrome driver is located. And then we have to introduce the website that we're going to automate. So in this case, I'm going to use Google Forms. So you only go to Google Forms and then we have to use a template. So in this case, I'm going to use this template called contact information. So I click on it. And this template basically gives you the typical information you have to fill in a form. So the name, the email, phone number, address, and more. And here, first we're going to settings to set up this form. And we go to responses. So we open up this one and then we have to make sure this button that is in green now, we have to deactivate this. So we disable this and we click on it, and we do that because we don't want to limit this to one response. So we want to introduce as many responses as we want. So when we automate, we can introduce many responses. And after we do that, we click on send here, this button, and then we click on the link button. And then we have to make sure we get a shortened URL. So we click here and then we copy this URL and then we paste it right here. So here I'm going to add quotes, and now we're going to continue with the typical workflow that we use with Selenium. So here I'm going to use driver.get to get the website. So I introduce here website inside parentheses, and with this we can open this website. So now I'm going to this website. So I'm going to copy and then I'm going to paste it here in this website. So we can see the website in view mode. Here before we had the website in edit mode, but we need to have this website in view mode to inspect it. So here now I'm going to inspect the website. So I right click and now I click on inspect. And well, now we can see all the HTML document. And well, now we can inspect this rectangle that represents the whole field. So I'm going to click on this rectangle and now we have this element highlighted in blue. So I don't want this element. Actually, the element I want is this one. And why I want this element is because we have here the name of this field, which in this case is name. If we check the other fields, we're going to see that this element that has div, or actually the attribute data-params, is also in the other rectangle. So I'm going to inspect the email field now, and we see that this data-params has the email here in the value. So this name is going to help me identify each field. So that's why I'm choosing that element. So now I'm going back to this element here with the name value. And now I'm going to create the XPath. So to create the XPath, we press Control F, or actually Command F on a Mac, and then we have to create the XPath. So now I'm going to use the data-params and the div as a tag. So to do this, I'm going to write /div then I open square brackets, then I write at, then data hyphen params, because that was the name of the attribute. And after we do that, we have to use the contains function. So I write here contains, and then I open parentheses. And this is basically the syntax that uses the contains function. Then I write comma, and here I write the word name. So here I write name, and well, now we have this element. So we successfully created this XPath. Great. Now what we have to do is to get to this value here, where is that your answer placeholder. So I'm going to inspect that field. I'm gonna click here, and we see that this field is it has the input tag. And something that we have to keep in mind is that this element input is inside the other element that is in green. So this element in green is the element that we created the XPath. So what we can do here, instead of creating the whole XPath of this input element, we can just write / and then write input. So with this, we find a child element inside the rectangle. And well, in this case, we find the input element. So now I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it here so we don't lose it. I pasted here the XPath, and now we go back here. And something I want to show you now is that there is a different pattern in the different fields. So here in the first field, in the name field, we had input here in the your answer placeholder. But if we go here to email, well, we're gonna see that it's still with the input tag. But if we go now to address, we're gonna see that here is text area instead of input. And then if we go to phone number, we see input, and finally in comments, I think there is text area. So in some cases there is text area, and in some other cases there is input here. So what we can do is use both XPath. So I'm going to show you here. First, I'm going to show you how to get to email. So first, if we write here email instead of name, we should get to that element. Well, in this case, we get the email field because email uses input here. But if we write now address, we don't get anything. And that's because we don't use input in address, but we use address has that text area. So I write text area, and now we get to this your answer placeholder. So now I'm going to copy this. I go back here, I comment, and well, as you can see, some elements has the input and some elements has the text area element. So what I'm going to do here is use the OR operator, and this allows me to use both options. So now I'm going to use here address here in both, so we have the same field, and here we're joining the two XPath with the OR operator. All right, now it's time to locate these elements with the driver that we created before. So now I write driver.find element, and then I write by equal to, and then here XPath, and the second parameter is value equal to, and here we introduce the XPath that we created before. So now I put them together, and then, well, I write these quotes, then I put it inside, well, equal to value. And now we have the XPath. And now this is a long XPath, so I'm gonna press enter here. So we divide the XPath, and now we can see it much better. Okay, now that we have this element, actually I'm gonna name it, and I'm gonna name it as text underscore input. And now I'm gonna organize this again, and now, well, now everything's fine. So now that we have this text underscore input, I'm gonna use the send keys method to send a text in this field that we have here. So now we located this text input, but now I'm gonna send text. I'm gonna send keys. So I write send underscore keys, and now we can introduce any value, like, for example, hello world. So with this, we send keys to this field, and now let's test it out. So I'm gonna right click and run this. So I right click, I run this, and hopefully everything's gonna be okay. But before I do that, I'm gonna add here a time, first a wait. And to do that, we have to use the time library. So I import time, and then I'm gonna add here a wait of, let's say, 3 seconds. So I write time.sleep 3. And with this, we let the website load its content properly. So now I'm gonna run this and see the results. So I run, and now a new window is open by Selenium. And now we should see the hello world message, and it's right here in address. So now we successfully introduced that text with Selenium, and everything is fine now. So now I'm going back here to PyCharm, and now that we have this, let's also click on this button, on the submit button. So now I'm gonna inspect this button, and I'm gonna create its XPath. So here I got an element, and now I'm gonna create this XPath using the word submit. So I inspect submit, and I'm gonna use this word submit, and also this element here that has the role and the button value. So I'm gonna delete the XPath that I had before, and now I'm gonna create one from scratch. So now I write /div, then add role, and then equal to button. This is basically the element that we had before. And well, we see here that we have 4 elements with the same XPath. Now let's navigate, and well, one of those elements is the green button, and it's actually this one. So here you see div, role, and button. Apparently there are other 3 elements with the same XPath, and that's why I need to use the submit word that is here. So now I continue, and I write /span, and then open square brackets, and then text, and then open these parentheses. So basically this is the text parameter, which is not here, but is actually there. So it's like invisible right now, but we can use it anytime we want, as long as we see that there is a text in the button, like in this case. So now we continue, and now I write equal to, and then open quotes, and we write submit. So submit. And now we see that we only found one element, and it's the element that we want. So now I copy this, and now we go back to PyCharm, and now let's use the driver to find this element. So I write driver, then find element, and then, well, again, we write by XPath, and then value, and then we paste the XPath. Okay, then what we have to do is give a name to this expression. In this case, I'm gonna name it submit underscore button, and then I'm gonna click on it. So to do that, I write that click. And finally, I'm gonna close the window, writing driver.quit. So with this, we close the window that Selenium opens. Great, with this, we're following all the steps to automate this website, but now we're only introducing one data. So in this case, we're introducing just the phrase hello world, but only on the field address. So what if we want to introduce data in all the fields? So in the phone number field, email field, and name field. And also, what if we want to introduce multiple forms? And to do that, we have to create fake data. And also we have to create here a for loop. So let's start with the fake data. Here I have a script that creates fake data. And basically here I'm using the faker library. And well, this is a very easy library to learn. I'm gonna walk you through the steps to create fake data very fast. First, we have to create a fake object, and then we have to generate fake profiles using the profile method. So in this case, I'm creating only 10 elements using this list comprehension, and then I'm storing these elements in a pandas data frame. And among these fake data, or actually in this profile, only the columns that we're going to use are the name, mail, and address. And this is because those are the fields that we're using here in this form. Then we have to create some other data with the phone number and the comments. In this case, the comment is simple, a hyphen that I'm putting here. You can introduce any text you want, but here I'm introducing just a hyphen. And the phone number, to create this, I'm using the phone number method to create phone numbers that are not real. Then I put this data inside pandas, and then I rename the columns. So these names match exactly the name that I have here in the form. So as you can see, I'm using the same names, and I do this because later I'm gonna use it here in this inside this XPath. So that's the reason why I'm renaming these columns. And finally, I export all this data into a CSV file. So actually, I'm gonna run this script to have this CSV file exported. So now I have this CSV file on the left, and is this fake underscore data.csv. And now I'm going to read it here in this third script, and well, it's here. Here I'm using pandas to read this CSV file. And well, I'm reading this CSV file, and now I'm going to print it. So I print df, and now we see its content. Alright, now what I want to show you is how to loop through the columns of this data frame, and also how to get all the elements of this data frame. So we can apply it later here in this in the main script that we created before. So in the script that we had before, we're going to create a for loop. But first, I'm going to show you the basics here in this data frame. So first, I want to show you how to get all the columns of this data frame. And to do that, we have to write df.columns, and to get all the elements, we have to loop through it. So I write for, let's say column in columns in df.columns. And now I'm gonna just print the column. And well, now I run this and we get all the column names. Actually, I'm gonna comment this out, the first one, and now I run this again, and I have the name of all the columns, which are actually the name of the fields that we have here. So the first step is done. So we have the name of the columns, and these names are gonna be here later, right here. Instead of writing address, we're gonna introduce all these names with a variable. Okay, now it's time to get the elements inside the data frame. So the elements are basically this. All these elements. So for example, this first row with all this data, then the second row. So basically we're going to iterate through the rows. And to do that, I need the length of this data frame. So I need the number of rows. And to get the number of rows, I'm going to use the length function. So here I'm going to start by writing length, open parentheses, df. So with this, we get the number of rows, which basically is 10. And now we have to iterate through this number of rows. And to do that, I'm going to use the for loop. So I write for I in this. Then I open this colon. And now I'm going to use the range function to get elements from 0 to the length of this data frame, which is 10. So now I put this inside. And basically what we're doing is iterating through the rows and then through the columns. So I'm doing this because I'm going to use a method called the log method, and this log method allows me to get the elements by its row and column. So first we have to write the name of the row, which is I. As you might remember, we're iterating through the row first, and then the name of the column, which is column. So we have this. This is the basic notation of the log method. And now I'm going to print this to see what we're doing here. So now I'm going to run this and see the results. So again, I'm going to comment this out, run again, and well. And as you can see here, this is a block. So we have a block of the first profile. So from name to comments is the first block, or the first fake profile. And then we have the second fake profile, and so on. So we have 10 fake profiles, and each of them we get it here in this for loop. So we get it one by one, and that's what we want, because we want to fill this form one by one. First the name, then the email, then the address, then press submit, and then fill the second form, and so on. So that's exactly what we're looking for. So now let's apply this for loop to the main script. Okay, now I'm gonna write the first for loop, which is the column in df columns, and well, I'm gonna comment this out, and I'm just gonna copy the parts that I'm gonna use. So first this for column in df that columns, and I'm gonna put this inside this for loop. And now the first thing I'm gonna do is replace this element address. So instead of address, I'm gonna write the name of the column. So here I'm gonna open an F string in each line, and now I open these curly braces. So instead of address, I'm gonna write the column variable. So I write column in each of them, and then I have to write here a text, and this text is gonna be the fake data that we created before. So to do that, I'm gonna write the other for loop, this one, and now, well, I write colon and I put this for loop inside the other for loop, and well, now I'm gonna use this df.log that I showed you before. So instead of hello world, I use df.log, and well, here I have this is the name of the row, and column, which is the name of the column. And with this, we're introducing this data instead of just one simple message. So great, we've introduced the name of the column and also the data. And now I'm gonna put the submit button inside the for loop. So I'm gonna put it here. Now I delete this space, and well, now it's great. First we introduce the data, then we click on the submit button, and then we go to the next form. And actually here we're still in the first form because we're not going to another website. So here I'm going to show you what I mean. I go back here and I'm going to close this. I'm going to put just some fake data to make my point. So now I write this.com, and then, well, this is not necessary. And now I submit this. And after we do this, we go to this new page. And to go back to the website or to go back to the form, we have to here introduce the link of the form. So we have to introduce this link. And to do that, here with Selenium, we have to put this driver that get website inside the for loop. So here, now we're going to this website again. So first we go to the first website, we send this data, we click on submit, and then we go to the second form, which is the same website, and then we put again new data, and then we click on submit, and so on. And with this, we successfully fill all this data. Now I'm going to delete this, and we're ready to run this code. But before running this script, if your browser is not in English like mine, you have to change here this text. Instead of submit, you have to write equivalent in your language. In my case, my browser is in Spanish, and that's why I'm going to write this word, which means submit in Spanish. If your browser is in English, you don't have to change that part. So now we're ready to run this code. Okay, I right click and run this code, and let's see how it goes. So now we have this new window open, and let's see, well, it's introducing all the fake data and then clicking on submit. And well, we're doing this like 10 times. And after we do this, we're gonna see the results. All right, the automation was finished. And now let's make sure that all the data was sent correctly. So I go here to the edit mode, and now we see that we have 11 responses. And the first response was the fake data that I introduced manually, and the 10 remaining responses were introduced automatically by Selenium. So here I can click and see all the responses. So this is all the fake data that Selenium introduced. And well, we have all the fake emails and the addresses and phone numbers. And that's it. In this video, we learned how to automate forms with Python. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to this channel for more content like this. That's it for this video. I'll see you on the next one.